Welcome to this week's episode of Coffee with a Journalist, brought to you by One Pitch. The guests on our show include some of the most notable journalists from the top US-based publications who cover topics including technology, lifestyle and culture, health, science, consumer products, business news, and beauty and wellness. We discuss their role, the types of stories they cover, what their inbox looks like, and how they connect with sources. Head to onepitch.co and look for the video page to learn more about our new video series featuring journalists from the show. This week on the podcast, we're joined by Terry Collins, a money and tech reporter for USA Today. In his role, Terry explores how technology influences our digital lives and habits, as well as the impact of social media culture. During the episode, Terry starts by telling his process for vetting pitches, goes through a real example of a pitch in his inbox, his optimistic thoughts on the future of journalism, and more. Let's hear from Terry now.
Welcome, everyone. This is Coffee with a Journalist. I'm Beck Bamberger, founder of One Pitch. This is a platform that helps you better connect with journalists. And this is the reason we do this podcast, so you can hear from real journalists on how they like pitches, what's in their inbox, all that good stuff. We have a pretty good time here. And I also run BAM, an agency that works with venture-backed technology companies. Hence, I created One Pitch because we need more help in working with journalists and understanding what they actually want, and hopefully have better relationships with them. Today with us is Terry Collins. He's the money and tech reporter for USA Today. Terry, hello and welcome.
Hey, Beck. How are you doing?
Hey, pretty good. Are you in San Francisco right now?
I am. Oh, I'm in San Francisco Bay Area. I live in across the bridge in Oakland.
Oh, nice. Excellent.
A lot of sun and pretty nice and warm.
Way sunnier.
March day, right? Yeah.
Yes, you're on the right side of the bridge. Excellent.
Thanks for having me.
Terry, thank you for being here. Why don't we start with your inbox? How crazy is it?
Oh, God. Oh, geez. It's all over the place. It's all over the place right now. Ranging from, of course, I get a lot of pitches from tech related to ranging from NFTs, metaverse. Let's see, what else? New apps to try. What else? Oh, more stuff about the latest with Apple, with the new hardware coming out soon. Pitches about potential IPOs.
Let me ask you this. How many pitches do you get a day?
Oh, a day. I probably it can be upwards to maybe 100 a day. Some may be re-pitches, but it can be up to about 100 a day. And honestly, I do try to go through as many of them as I can. It may take a few days or so. So I'm always responding back, sorry for the delay, got tied up or something like that, which is all true, because you can't go through so many in one day. So
that's true.
I get a lot. For the most part, that's good because that means people are reading or going or seeing my stuff in whatever places beyond USA Today, and also think they may have a story that our readers might be interested in, and they think that I possibly can do it. So it's always unique and nice to be in somewhat, demand, because those pitches stop, then I'm like, uh-oh.
Oh, then you must be like, oh God, what's going on in the PR world? So with so many pitches though, how do you organize them? And it sounds like you read every one of them though.
Yeah, I do for the most part. I think it's just a matter of courtesy. So I think that, companies take the time to want to send you something, at least give them the courtesy of reading it. And, sometimes you can know right away if it's not related to you or anything like that, or if it's something you may want to forward to a colleague or something that just may not be in our realm. And some that maybe just need a little bit more depth to them, fill out a little bit more. If there's a pitch I get that I have to ask more than about 5 questions, I usually give a handful, then it's something that isn't probably going to work out. Then you just say, come back to me, maybe in about a month or so, a couple months, or let me know when it's happening. Because, you might get pitches that kind of something that's coming or just in a very infancy stage, and
it's not baked yet.
Yeah. And they think that a story could help maybe give some exposure, push it along and things like that. So that's always tricky. And then so you try to maybe even give advice too, like once you're a little bit more seasoned, or once in terms of a product, as it matures more, come back and, pitch again and see what happens.
Now, Terry, are you writing this all back to people?
If I have time, I try to.
My God. You're the most generous journalist I've ever heard.
I've been told that, and I know that there are some pitches that, just don't cut it. And, I try to be kind and say, try it again. I'm not going to just rip someone and
Try
say,
again.
yeah, I'm not going to rip someone and say, this is horrible. It's, not doing anything like that because someone's livelihood. And I think, and you can see sometimes who's just getting started in the field and those who are a little bit more seasoned. So you just try to find, if you can, just try to find the right way to let them know that it may not be, a story at this time, but let's keep in touch in all sincerity.
Oh my God. They must fall out of their chair getting a response from you.
Maybe, and maybe it's a reason I probably get a lot because I know my inbox is full. If I had Gmail instead of Microsoft Exchange, if I had Gmail, it would have overloaded by now. You know how it tells you like you've exceeded your limit.
Oh yeah, that's mine at constant times every day. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess with Microsoft Exchange, not to plug or anything like that, maybe they just have a bigger bandwidth and know how to handle some of the mails, and in terms of storage. So I don't know. But I delete some, fair share, as well. But for the most part, if it's something that's relative to me or could be, I'll give it a read. More than a glance. I'll say that. More than a glance.
Wow. This is amazing. Are you also an inbox zero or a absolutely let it ride person?
Kind of let it ride. My inbox is pretty full right now. And I'm sure I do need to probably delete some things. But at times you never know when you there's a keyword or something that you may come back to and you search and then it ends up being something. Like when I wrote a piece not too long ago about the metaverse and real estate and things like that, I got a pitch in, I think, November. And I ended up writing something in, I think, were we in March? So January, February, not too long ago. But I just did a search and that email popped back up and it ended up helping me. So I kind of let emails ride a little bit unless if it's just really out of cycle, because in cases like that, you might need to go back and refer, so that's why.
Many people do that I've talked to on this show. They use it as their own personal Google search.
Exactly. Am I a hard no on some things? No, unless I get the no from an editor or two, or we just it's not gonna work or not gonna fly. So, so I try to keep them for a minute. And like I said, you never know, so you might go back. Like I get a lot of gaming emails, gaming related emails. And so I'll take a look. Some I'll forward to a colleague, some I'll keep, but you never know how I might relate to something down the line. Or that person who sent the email may have another connection.
Terry, it sounds like you're on the rare side of looking at every pitch that comes through. I have to say, rare from this show. Do you at all look at then subject lines as something like when you scan your 100 pitches a day, they're like, oh, wait, let me open that one real quick because that's a juicy subject line.
I'll look and see if it's interesting. I mean, of course, that should be the most attractive thing.
That should be the hook.
Yeah. Some subject lines that may just kind of are in bold, must tell story or you'll see too many exclusives.
That's our next question, exclusives versus embargoes. We'll get there in a second. But yeah, what's a good subject line that you saw today maybe?
Here's one. It may seem very basic, but it kind of just stood with me. One says, let's see, what's the name of the company? Techion launches Automotive Enterprise Cloud. Kind of simple, within a 5 to 7 word count. In this case, it was 5. So it has me, may not be as interested, but it had me interested enough to open it and just take a look to see because it has some key words in there. I think Enterprise Cloud, because it's the cloud. Cloud is so, ambiguous. It could mean something or not. So it's tempting enough to open it, which I did. And so.
Okay, so 5 words. Yep, got it.
So I think a couple key power words and try to keep it as brief as possible. I think, like I said, within a 5 to 7 word limit, that kind of gets me because that means they've probably taken the time to write it, kind of edit it.
It's tight.
Yeah, it's really probably a real tight email. Could be punchy too. So.
Excellent. Okay, now the big question. Exclusives, embargoes. Do you take either?
I look at them, I open them. And then after that, I do ask, maybe if it's interesting enough, I do ask, is this exclusively to us? In my case, USA Today, is it? And then wait to hear back, So it's kind of the ratio, just kind of weird. I think sometimes, you see in bold or in all caps exclusive, you wonder.
You wonder, yeah. Because the thing that's happening, and we've talked about this extensively on this show and in the other AMAs we do with BAM, but okay, Terry, I've heard from many times on this show and other areas that an exclusive needs to be just the story, just for that outlet. Not you're trying to make it 9 a.m. on that one, and then you try to make it noon on this one. Like, you are the only outlet that has this. Is that your understanding too?
Yes, exactly. That you're the only outlet, only publication that's going to run this story and/or package, and that's it. You're the one. Yes, that's the deal.
Okay. And then embargoes, is that of interest to you?
Yes, depending on what it is. I mean, of course, if there's a product or something that is of, I guess, of common interest to readers and the like, I normally honor the embargo, but I have to see what it is before I agree to it or pitch to an editor to make sure that we are going to run it. So I take a look. It depends. You get a lot from some of the big tech companies, and our readers have an interest in, and it could be a product or something that I guess would appeal to our readers. So you give that a lot of consideration and into it. But like I said, I'll agree to them, but sometimes that doesn't mean we cover them or write them all.
Good to know. And there's only so much bandwidth you have in a day. I want to talk about stories and how you come to do these stories. You get so many pitches. Yes, you look at them all. But as I look through your work, you're quite expansive. You're talking about radioactive waste right now in the UN. With the UN, you have market corrections. You have startups helping with cash offers for homes, Kickstroid, app, finance, sneakers. How do you decide, and what is the story process to do a story?
So let's, for example...
Yeah, let's take one as an example.
Yeah, let's take, I guess, the story, with the startups with the all cash offers.
Yeah, that's your latest one.
Yeah, so that was a story I was interested in because I just started seeing some things, doing a lot more, I guess, real estate housing type stories because our readers love them. They're fascinated. I think it's one of the things that has emerged from the pandemic. We're all working kind of most of us working from home, more space and all that. So with this there's been this huge demand in housing. So it's kind of much demand, little supply.
Competitive.
So the competitive market is, yes, of course, is sellers are looking, to make a good sale on their house that they're selling, and why not take a all cash offer? It makes it easier for all parties involved. And so with this, some people get left out because how many people have that kind of access to cash?
Well, and then you got to do cash beyond.
Yes.
You got to do 30K over asking. It's just insane. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So that's what I wanted to kind of explore. And with this, I started seeing that I started asking some of my, lending friends who work in the business or in real estate and things like that as well about this kind of phenomena. And, come to find out that some agents use this, to help their clients because it is very, very competitive. And there are these vehicles.
Oh.
Yes.
So, okay, I have it now. I'm reading the whole article now. So they'll say, okay, I'm an agent and I have my clients and I know they don't have the cash all offer, but via these startups, via these apps, I know they could get the cash all in hand, which means then they can get the house and then I get my commission because I want to sell houses.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, if they qualify. Yes. So it's another tool that they use and it's competitive, but, the would-be buyer, of course, has to pre-qualify, to be for a loan and things like that. So this is kind of like a bridge to help them, kind of get to the head of the line in this super competitive bidding process. Now, buyers are also dealing with, they may have a cash offer, but they're also dealing with others who may have all cash offers. And so these companies help.
Today's interview will continue after this brief message brought to you by OnePitch. Are you curious to see the unique ways OnePitch helps PR professionals and marketers pitch journalists? Head to onepitch.co to learn about our new OnePitch score and see how easy it is to find the right journalist to pitch your news to. Sign up for your free account today. Now, back to today's episode.
So for you, you were already peripherally just interested in this. Did this come on? I like to know, were you in the shower? Were you walking your dog and you're like, you know what? I need to do a story on this. Or did you have 17 pitches that all related to this? And you're like, oh, wait a second, something's happening.
No, I actually started doing it more so through reporting and stuff like that and hearing why people were falling short and getting a house, why the market is so competitive. This is one of the reasons. And then I did get a pitch, which was kind of okay, it had keywords, power buyers, and why are they helping others? But I was already kind of into it because I already had talked to a realtor who was in the game, yeah, I recommend this to my clients. So, okay. And she had mentioned the company she used. And ironically, I don't know if it's AI or whatever, I happened to get a pitch from someone who was talking about said company.
And you got that piece, yeah. Oh, wow. That just then magically came together.
Yeah, and it literally did because I asked, like, that's so funny. And so I came at the story from two different angles. I came from the angle of the realtor who uses this device sales company to help with their clients. And did they have an example of one of their clients who willing to talk to me about it, which is kind of how it led the lead of the story kind of evolves. And then I'm also looking at it from the other angle of of the company's perspective. Not saying to the other that I'm dealing with the other, just to see if everything kind of is copacetic and it kind of all comes together, and there was some consistencies and it kind of like gave some validity to it. And also to me, like, yeah, there's a story here. You can tell an editor.
Yes. Oh, this is so good that you distilled all the components of it, because we mentioned this. This is now from the BAM side to clients like, hey, it's not just like, oh, we exist. It's, yes, we exist with this really interesting solution. And here's 3 customers that can speak to it. Here's a financial guru who also can advise on this. He played up the story, basically, tee you up with all the people. Because unless it happens magically like that, Terry, you're going to then be like, well, now I got to go find, okay, that person and who could talk there. And there's a lot of digging.
There was a little bit of both.
There was.
But, in talking to the company, I said, well, do you have a client who, maybe looking for their first home and just fall short and things like that, and had them to do some research. They said they did. And so but in talking to the realtor had somebody, a client who had used it a couple years ago before it became like the phenomenon that it is now. So it gives that context and perspective of like, and they had to make a choice on, hey, either I could do this and get this house, or I'm going to be left out. I got to go through the process all over again. So I took the story from that approach, different angles. A family guy, who's trying to move, he's relocating, trying to get in a house in time so his kids can enroll in school, to software engineer who's single but is ready to buy his first home. He's having a little problem getting it, and here they are. It's commonality. They both use this process to get an all cash offer that they could present to buy their homes.
I like it.
Yeah, so you're just trying to tie in.
Is this example rare, or does this happen a lot for your pieces?
In this case, a little rare, but then this goes with, I guess, timing, and me, I guess, in this case, being maybe determined, like, this is a story I want to try to tell and how to go about it. So it took the outreach of me going to some of my real estate sources and asking them, and then getting that kind of like candor and say, yeah, I use it. Yeah, you have to now. I mean, it's almost essential. It's like, so getting that, those are voices they're saying. So that kind of like fuels you, like, okay, there's something here. And then the timing of that email, with the pitch, because with the pitch, you kind of have a healthy skepticism about it. What does it mean and things like that. So you're doing kind of like your checking and whatever cynicism or skepticism you have. I was able to take care and do all that through the real estate agent who uses the product. So obviously they must see something to it. So you use from them, and then also what the company said, and you see everything kind of like align itself. And then, so then you have a story that you kind of can weave together and put together. And then, of course, you have those who are, I guess, skeptics or critics of it, and you reach out and find them, and then they put in why they understand the need, but kind of like, you really don't have to do it if you don't want to. So you get that kind of, to make the story, I guess, come out and be objective, you show all sides. And I think in this case, it took a minute, but once all those pieces kind of came together, putting the story together kind of worked itself out. And, you put out a wide swath of people to talk, because, some people say, I want to talk, no comment or anything like that, or just, they don't get back to you. But in this case, there are a lot of people who got back to me, because this is something that is right now when I put in the quality of life category, housing, and so that's, I guess, it was important enough for people to want to find a way to comment about it. I got a wide range of voices and opinions.
Yeah, you got all the pieces of it. Oh, now that's something to look into for a second. Would you even want that in a pitch? How interesting would that be? Hey, here's my client, and here's a pro view, and here's a negative view, and here's 3 customers. Would you ever want that teed up to you? I mean, that's very interesting.
It's very interesting. That's rare. That doesn't really happen, in a pitch.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
That's not your objective as usually a pitcher, but interesting strategy.
It would be interesting, but if you're pitching that to me, then I'm assuming you're pitching that to others too.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So that could be, for Terry, you might be doing it for Mike, as well, if you're trying to go to multiple outlets or the sell of the story. So
Unless I tell you, hey, Terry, I have this exclusive piece for you that I've teed up. I got all these people ready.
That goes into when you maybe have the email thread that leads maybe to a phone call or a Zoom or Teams meeting. When you get down to those kind of details or the possibility is you get ready to, say to your editor or something, I'd like to pursue this story. So that's on that front end of trying to see what could be possibly for a story.
I like that. Okay. We're learning things here. Okay. Now, Terry, a little transition. What are you reading, listening to, watching? We'll take any form of storytelling that you prefer. Let me pull up my Audible site too. Hold up. Okay. I'm ready.
What am I listening to?
Listening, watching, reading. I mean, whatever storytelling consuming you do, we want to know. You got anything good?
I still record like 2020 for some reason.
2020? Really?
A show that I just grew up, watching. I think it was one of the bugs that probably got me interested in becoming a journalist.
Where is that even on? ABC.
Yeah, ABC. But I mean, I'm not watching it on like Friday night, so I'm recording it and eventually watching it sometime within the week, or maybe it's on as background stories and stuff like that.
Oh, fascinating. I haven't heard 2020 mentioned since 2003, maybe. I don't know. Is it good? How is it?
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. I think it's more current and up to date than most people think, because they do play off the news, stuff like that. I found last week's episode they were talking about a Theranos founder.
Yes. I just see it on their website, yeah.
Yeah, and, it's in the news. You're out here and stuff like that. I couldn't see what happens. And then, of course, being out here in the Valley, in my case, you're kind of like, I remember the stuff with Elizabeth Holmes. And I remember, like, when I was at another place, this is fascinating. Do we write about it? Is it worth covering? Is it worth following? And
what did you end up saying or determining?
I didn't do it. I think a colleague did because it was fascinating at the time, and it was just kind of like, wow, amazing, because there's the same thing of like with other, female entrepreneurs, female founders, and like with Bumble and the like, there was a wave of this occurring that was getting a lot of attention, that there were, female startup founders and the like, and they're making waves. This could be the start of something, the future, that where in tech, it may not be such a all male dominated business anyway, and we were just coming off Ellen Powell, so it's just.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on then. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you kind of just, I guess, going back and revisiting her unfortunate fall from grace, just like, wow. So.
Yeah, that was something.
So, yeah. And I mean, there's others like clip through or maybe listen to. I try to listen more to like music when I'm listening to something.
Oh, okay. So you're not doing audibles. You're not doing podcasts necessarily.
I do some podcasts. Most of them are like kind of like maybe more sports related.
Lighter stuff.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. JJ Redick's podcast. Maybe someday, I'll have a podcast. I'll listen to whatever I think might be intriguing at the time. So, with the right subject and the right topic, I guess, and the right kind of like host or format, maybe.
Okay, so light on the storytelling consumption. Probably you're reading all those pitches that's gotten you booked. I would imagine.
Yeah, but I go through and there's something I'm more impulsive instead of like scheduled, must check out podcast, because I think there's always so many excerpts that you can find, through social that kind of give you the gist of the podcast, the teases, sometimes the teases are kind of the gist of what can be talked about. So you might get my fill there or might tip me enough to take, whatever, the 30 to 40 minutes to listen while I'm driving.
Mm-hmm. Then that's good.
Yeah, I'm sure if I was driving even more, that I'd probably be more of an avid podcast listener instead of more semi-casual. I was like years ago, early on, especially like here being in the Bay and stuff when we're like more commuting, like we're like on BART or if we're driving, you take in a podcast or something. But now, that we've been kind of like a bit stationary, it depends.
Yeah. And there's only so much time we all have.
Yeah. Billions is my show. So that's about.
Oh, Billions? Oh.
So go pick. I can't get out of that space, huh?
I just recently started on that. I am here for it. Oh, it's just, oh, yeah, it's good. It is good. Have you seen every single season? Are you like done with it?
No, I'm not done with it. I've hopscotched, but.
Okay. I'm on season 2.
Oh, good. Keep going.
Oh, yeah. It's getting dirtier and dirtier. So, oh, yeah.
Does it remind you of the space? Is it pretty damn close?
We work on the BAM side with venture capital and more high flying, crazy startups that are, changing the world or whatever they want to call it. Not really on hedge funds, PE, the dirty dancing stuff that is, government officials and stuff. So not really, but I was meeting with two finance head gurus at the big finance firms today. And I said, oh yeah, y'all watch Billions? Like, y'all know? And they're like, yes. Like, we sit around wondering, like, is this what people think of us? Oh my God. I'm like, no, yeah, Wolf of Wall Street, yes, it does. But it's just, you could easily say anything of, well, everyone thinks PR shops are these horrible places too, or journalists are sitting in newsrooms on a typewriter, working 17 hours a day with a cigarette. There's all portrayals of all types of jobs out there. So you never know. But speaking of, maybe that goes into my next piece here, Terry. What do you think the future of journalism looks like?
Oh, it's bright. It's vast. I just asked that not too long ago. I think there's so many different means we could tell a story through audio, through digital, through video, through the traditional means. It's wide open, and I think that's allowed for so many different people from different backgrounds who don't have to study journalism in college to embrace in terms of storytelling. Look at where we are now. Okay, you asked about a book earlier. So I'm reading, it's been retitled, but I'm still holding on to an early draft. Just Pursuit, A Black Prosecutor's Fight for Fairness by Laura Coates, who we see on CNN, legal analyst who might be, in line for Chris Cuomo's primetime spot at 9 Eastern.
Oh, Just Pursuit, A Black Prosecutor's Fight for Fairness. Oh, it's got fabulous reviews.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious about Laura road into this space. She hosts a show on Sirius XM, and then, she's on CNN, and like I said, she's in line to maybe, she's one of the rumored people, to probably be in a coveted spot.
Yes. I love this in the Audible description. It says, but she quickly realized that even with the best intentions, quote, the pursuit of justice creates injustice. Oh, okay, I'm in, Terry. Added to cart. Awesome. Does she read it, by the way? Oh, it is narrated by her. Oh, even
yeah. So there's something that could be.
Yes.
Satisfying.
Perfect.
It's been a good read so far. So yeah.
Terry, you're quite optimistic, it sounds like.
Oh, the business? Oh yeah, definitely. I've been in it for a while, and so I've just seen all these various forms come in, and my eyes are wide open, and open ears, open eyes to embrace how we can tell better stories, because everyone consumes it differently in terms of, like I said, there's video, there's digital, audio, the story. Like a lot of people, even now with USA Today, it's a true network. There's so many different means you can get your story. And then, oh, by the way, yeah, there's still the newspaper.
Imagine that. I mean, I read Wall Street Journal every day in print and New York Times. So I'm about it. Terry, thank you so much for being on today. This has been great. You're one of the few that has such a optimistic view of journalism, but I'd also say you've been in the game for a while. So it's encouraging when someone's been hanging on and hanging in there and seen a lot. You're still there. It's great.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Seeing the change and embracing it. It's kind of like one of the reasons I got in this business, because you never know where the day will take you.
Very true. You could say that of the journalism in general.
Yeah, right.
Love it. Thank you, Terry. Terry Collins from USA Today. Pitch him. He will read your pitch. Sounds like it. Thank you, Terry.
Thanks, Beck. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Coffee with the Journalist featuring Terry Collins from USA Today. If you enjoy listening to our show, make sure to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. And if you have a moment, please leave us a review to share your thoughts about the show and today's guest. To learn more about the latest tools on OnePitch and to subscribe to our weekly podcast newsletter, head to our website at onepitch.co. We'll see you all next week with a brand new guest and even more insights about the journalists you want to learn more about. Until then, start great stories.